I'd like to welcome you to this edition of EMU Today TV. My name is Mark S. Lee, and I'm your host. And we're so pleased that you're joining us for a very important conversation. And we have two very important segments today. And to start with, we're going to start with Dr. Doris Fields, and she's the Assistant Vice President of Academic Programs and Initiatives, and also a tenured professor in the School of Communication, Media, and Theater Arts, and most recently was named the Interim Chief Diversity Officer for Eastern and Michigan University. Dr. Doris Fields, thanks for joining me. How are you?
Thank you. I'm well. Thank you for inviting me. This is a great opportunity.
It is a great opportunity. And first of all, I got to say, you have all these titles. When do you rest?
So my job officially begins March 21st, and I will be giving up my Assistant VP to Academics and Programs and Initiatives. So position I will not hold that position. I'm always a faculty, so I get to keep that one forever, but I will be transitioning my other title, my roles and responsibilities.
That's what we want to focus on. We want to focus on the new role, the interim role, the Chief Diversity Officer. It's my understanding there was the President's Commission back in, I believe, in 2018, made a recommendation that this role becomes a reality at EMU. Talk about the role of the Chief Diversity Officer. What is it going to entail? What is the importance of it?
So first, let me say that there are different types of Chief Diversity Officers. And so I think this one for me is a little groundbreaking in that I'll be the Chief Diversity Officer, but I'll also have the Diversity and Community Involvement academic unit reporting to me. So that's a little bit different. And so that will be the charge first, is getting people staffed in that area. And so once I get people staffed in that area, we'll be on the ground and running. So I think my role is to make sure that EMU remains a diverse community. Also that we ensure that EMU is a university for opportunity. I'm looking to bridge lots and lots of gaps. I'm looking to bring people together and make some connections. And I think because of my role and status at EMU, it actually makes me a perfect person to do that. I was a student, so I know student issues. I was a part-time instructor, so I know those issues. I was a faculty, so I understand that. And then I believe my administrative role made me a stronger person to handle this role. So I think because I know it's so familiar, I can feel comfortable meeting people, and I'm a collaborator. And so I think that makes a difference as well.
You know, and based on my experience, I was a student at EMU years ago. And EMU has always been a very diverse institution. We have people from certainly international students to people from different backgrounds, whether it's across the state of Michigan, across the country. So as we think about, let's fast forward to 2022 this year and look at some of the challenges that still are ahead of the institution as we think about this important area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. From your perspective, what are some of the challenges that we still need to overcome or at least confront in this new role that you're going to be now entering into?
That is a big question. I think the first thing I think is that there are tremendous challenges with discrimination, prejudice, and racism. And so there's still some work we absolutely need to do. Before I address what the challenges is, as I know what the challenges is, I want to hear from EMU. So one of my first tasks and my role, I will begin the rollout probably within a couple of weeks, is I'm going to do a summer listening tour. Mm-hmm. And it's important for me to do a listening tour. I don't want to just assume the challenges and tell people what the challenges are. I'm really interested in finding out what they believe the challenges are and the gaps are, and then addressing what people need. So I will be talking to students, staff, administrators, and faculty in the summer and gauging what's important to them and really listening. It's not a chance or opportunity for me to do all the talking. I want to sit back and listen and see what we need. And then once I figure out what everyone needs, I'm going to do just a mini report for myself and for the administration. So then we can start to tackle the challenges. And I can assume that there are lots of challenges. from things that I've heard from students and faculty. So I want to be able to address those things and have us looking a little bit different and have us more engaged. So I think the listening tour will fine tune what all the challenges are. So I don't want to misspeak before I hear what my constituents have to say about what they want changed.
And it's exactly what I was going to ask you. You just kind of cut me off at the pass here. So I was going to ask you. No, because I was going to ask you from your perspective, but you addressed it. What are some of the issues as you might see, but you just handled it correctly. You're saying, I want to hear from the students, I want to hear from the faculty, I want to hear from the administration, I want to hear from all the stakeholders, and that's part of your listening tour. So you've already addressed that question. But you know, as we think about this space, and we know that it's really exploded. Obviously, since the whole George Floyd situation, I can tell you based statistically, according to Indeed.com, there was a plethora of hiring. 61% of the jobs, the resulting jobs, were in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space over the last 2 years. So as you see the importance of the role evolving, even at Eastern Michigan University, what are some of the resources that you will need in order to be successful in this new role?
I think I will have the basic resources, but what I think is important to me is I need honesty. I need integrity. I need people to not only say that they are diverse, I need them to demonstrate it. And demonstration is a completely different thing than words coming out your mouth. And so that's the point that I think that I will need. I will need not just efforts from myself, but I'll need my EMU community to help me. There is no way I can do this by myself. But I think that with meeting with people, which I have been over the past couple of weeks, people are eager to help me and assist me. There have been so many people who have emailed me and said, what do you need? What can I help you with? So I don't think resources for me is going to be an issue. I think it will be the demonstration of what we do. And not only speak that we are a university for opportunity, demonstrate it. And I think that is what needs to happen, is that we need to really focus on the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging and justice. So I think that those are things that I want to focus on.
And I want to clarify, correct myself, we have seen a 61% increase in the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officers going back to 2020. So I want to make sure that's according to Indeed.com. I want to make sure I'm correct and that we're accurate in what I say here. I've been very fortunate, Doris, to I give speeches on DEI. I have clients in the DEI space. And one of the things I like to tell my clients and people that I'm talking to, again, I've given a lot of speeches in this space, is one thing to talk the talk, and it's another thing to walk the walk. So as we begin to go from the talking phase to the walking phase, how do you begin to bridge that gap in this important area as well?
I think there are a couple of things. I think from my past and people who know me and know the foundation of my family, that my father, civil rights activist, educator, Joe Doolin, was not just a talker, he was the doer. And so I'm action orientated. I do not want to be reactive, I want to be proactive. And so I want to make people feel comfortable in all their spaces on EMU's campus. I want diversity to be integrated through coursework. I want it to be integrated through programs. I want everyone to treat everyone as if they are the best human being they can be. And possibly, well, you know, you always have those dreams of making people look beyond color and look at a person as a human being. And that takes a lot of work. And I think because I've done it in the classroom, that's what makes me different. I teach it. And so I know where, if there are gaps, where to look for those gaps and how to fix those gaps. I'm dedicated and I'm committed to EMU and I'm committed to this issue. And so I feel very strongly about this. And I think that I'm going to be able to make a difference. I think that's what's
also,
really
and I think you're right. And I think this is an important statement too. A lot of times with diversity, we dumb it down to based on race and ethnicity. And that's not really what diversity is about. Diversity Dr. Fields, is a collection of people, ideas, backgrounds. Because if we bring those backgrounds, ideas, and thoughts together, you have a stronger community, as opposed to just say, okay, we need to hire so many people of a certain ethnicity, of a certain background. It's a collection of all people. That's what makes diversity successful. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I do. I tremendously believe it's everything. And people look at diversity as race. It is women's issues, it's gender orientation, sexual orientation. It's about looking at race and ethnicity, knowing the difference. It's about including international students. So my goal is to hit all areas. I am not going to be specific on one. I'm going to make sure that they're all covered and all are done justice to. So you are correct. I'm going to do all of it. And the areas that are under me focus on all those diverse areas. That's why I say each CDO is different, but I think the approach that Eastern is taking is going to be absolutely great.
We have about remaining. I have a chance to respond to the level of support that you have received from the board of directors as well as from the president of the university. Again, about a minute or so remaining.
I have had I'm trying not to get full, just a tremendous amount of support and belief in me. I believe that I have been prepared for this moment my whole entire life. And that I could remember sitting in my dad's office when he would go teach or lecture or do whatever he needed to do as a principal. And I would sit in his chair and have that moment of, I will be there. I will carry on what he carried on. And so I think I've just been preparing for this for my whole life. And so when opportunity, as my sister would say, opportunity and preparation come together, is absolutely perfect. I am taking on this role interim. And in the fall, the goal is to do a national search. And so I'm just excited to be able to be in this situation and be in this place where I can help the transition and see what happens in the fall.
I want to take this opportunity. We're out of time. I want to thank you very much. Congratulations. We could talk about this all day, and we are very proud of you. We wish you nothing but success.
Thank you. And anytime you want me to come back, please let me know.
Absolutely. What we're going to do is take a quick break, and we're going to show you a brief video of a EMU Alumni awardee, an honoree. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the EMU Alumni Awards. We'll be right back.
Well, EMU was a game changer for me. I'm a first generation college student, and so we didn't have discussions at home around money or finance or anything else. So the world of finance was foreign to me until I got to Eastern Michigan and decided to figure out what my major would be. And I knew that business was going to be that major, but I started off in international business, which is a great marketing degree with the language. And once I took a couple classes, I realized what came really easy to me was accounting. And I graduated in 1992 with a bachelor's in business administration. And what I'm doing now is I'm the head of advancing Black pathways for JP Chase. I'm responsible for addressing the racial wealth gap for Black people in our country. And that's a really big, bold goal. I am listening and trying to understand where the firm can have value and impact to address the racial wealth gap and to create better economic conditions. And we want to make sure that that access to capital and the tools that help people provide jobs for others is available to all communities. What I love most about my career is to be able to tie the education I got from Eastern Michigan University and accounting, but do good with it in the community. One of the things that Eastern taught me was the ability to give back and to volunteer. I'm glad that Eastern afforded me the opportunity to lean in with my passion around doing good and making a difference in the community with the knowledge of being an accountant. So understanding how financial systems can make a difference in the community is what I really enjoy. Having an affordable education I could do in 4 years was really important to me. And then when I got on campus, there are 2 women that really made a difference, were like angels in my life that I met, Dr. Lynette Finley and Dr. Nora Martin. And they showed me what it would look like if I could actually accomplish this thing called education. Dr. Lynette Finley ran student services in the diversity and inclusion office. And working with her and having her give me advice and counsel really made the difference. And the same thing for Dr. Martin, who was a professor in the College of Social Work. And they just happened to have one thing in common. They both were members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And so I went on to pledge that sorority in college because they were living examples of what I could be if I really pursued, one, a quality education, did it with excellence, and also gave back to the community in an organization of women, other collegiate women who made a difference in the community every day. I'm not a big person around awards or recognition. I feel like my work should speak for itself, but I also know that representation matters. And to see a young lady like me who had very humble beginnings, and if we just want to be honest, I grew up poor and didn't really understand what a college education could do for me. And now that I've achieved it, I want somebody to look at me and say, I could be that person, just like Dr. Lynette Finley and Dr. Nora Martin were that for me. I want to be that for another young student at EMU. I'm honored to receive the Distinguished Alumni Award for Eastern Michigan University, to an organization and university that poured so much into me in my formative years. I started at EMU at 18 years old, and when I graduated, I was much better prepared for the world, and really the opportunities that I got from Eastern set me up for my career. And I can't thank my sorority sisters enough. I can't thank Dr. Nora Martin, Dr. Lynette Finley, and all of the EMU faculty that poured into me. A special shout out to Geraldine Cruz. She believed in me, and because of her belief in me and that commitment to stand on my case, I've had the opportunities I've had. So thank you, EMU.
Welcome back to EMU Today TV. I hope you had an opportunity or a chance to enjoy that video of a past awardee, Ms. Bina Elliott, who's a dear friend of mine, doing some remarkable things now in the professional field as well. Congratulations to Bina. And I'm so pleased to welcome Ms. Mia Milton, and she's the Interim Executive Director of Alumni Relations and Engagement, and also Ms. Trudy Adler, who's the President of the Alumni Association Board.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And let's start with the basics. Mia, let me start with you. And let's talk about the Alumni Awards. That video just showed a recent awardee with Ms. Bina Elliott. Talk to us about the Alumni Awards. What are they? Why do we do it?
Absolutely, Mark. Well, the Alumni Awards really recognizes the accomplishments and acknowledges the accomplishments and successes of our alumni by the Alumni Association Board of Directors and the university community. It's just our way of celebrating their contributions and to society and the successes within their careers.
Yeah. And Trudy, you are the president of the Alumni Association Board. From your perspective, talk about, as the president, how you feel about the Alumni Awards and why it's important for you to be engaged with this as well.
What I appreciate most about our Alumni Awards is our ability to highlight the great education and experiences that you can get at Eastern Michigan University. And it helps elevate the campus and really is the crown jewel, I think, of our alumni. But then also, in addition to that, it gives us an opportunity to network and to get to know each other. And I think that's one of the most important things about Eastern, and what's particularly unique is the relationship building that is so important in our campus, both for the students, the faculty, the staff, and especially our alumni.
Well, people know that I'm a proud alum. I graduated from Eastern, just a few years ago. And you are absolutely right. I've had the opportunity of maintaining relationships with some great people, certainly over the years. And Mia, to come back over to you, and let's talk about the awards themselves. What are you looking for? What's the criteria that are used to identify the awardees, such as Bina Elliott and other people who've been recognized as well as acknowledged in the past? What are you looking for in terms of engagement and recognition?
Absolutely. The nomination process is really something that's fairly simple. You have to be nominated by a fellow alumni, right? A faculty or staff member, a student or community member as well. And the nominations should really give the Recognition Awards and Scholarship Committee, which is within the Board of Directors, a detailed look into the skill, the education, the accomplishments, the awards and accolades that were received by this individual nominee, and their service to community and the university, right? Drawing that connection back to the university. We have 4 very distinct award categories, which include Outstanding Young Alumni, Alumni Achievement, Distinguished Alumni, and the John W. Porter Distinguished Alumni Award. So depending on that particular criteria of that individual award, really the nominator has to just decide which category their potential nominee would fall under. So it's a fairly simple process. The Outstanding Young Alumni Award is really presented to alumni whose achievements have been signified by personal honors bestowed upon them by their peers and who have demonstrated their worth of education through post-college achievements. Generally, those individuals have graduated 10 years or less and are typically 35 years of age and under. The Alumni Achievement Award is given to alumni that have achieved a distinction in their chosen field, clearly demonstrated their value of their college education and maintained continuing interest in EMU. And that range usually is between 10 and 25 years. The Distinguished Alumni Award is given to those who've achieved extraordinary distinction in their chosen field and have demonstrated service to others and maintained a continuing interest in EMU. Generally, they've been graduates for more than 25 years. And then finally, the John W. Porter Award is given to individuals, not necessarily alumni, right, who've made outstanding contributions to EMU and the EMU Alumni Association. And those, as I said, those recipients do not have to be alumni. So
yeah, well, I'm going to take a note of personal privilege for one moment. Every time I hear John Porter's name, I smile because when I was president of student body at EMU, Dr. Porter was the president. So let me put it in perspective. He was the president of the university at the time, and I was the student body president. I had the opportunity of working with him. One of my legacies was helping to get the REC-IM facility built as a student leader. And Dr. Porter and I had the opportunity of working on that together. Trudy, coming back over to you, I do want to ask you, you're an alum as well. And please, where did you get your degree in? And briefly share about your experiences as being an EMU student. What did you enjoy about being a student at EMU?
Well, you probably see the band pillow behind me. So yeah, so my story is very unique, and most people don't expect it when I tell it. But I was a student for 8 years at Eastern for my bachelor's in social work. So I started off as a music education major. I realized that wasn't where I wanted to be, and Eastern was where I really figured out who I was and what I wanted to do with my life. And a lot of that had to do with my affiliation with the marching and symphonic bands while I was there. And so for me, Eastern was the place where I figured out I wanted to be a social worker. They also at the time they offered, they had the Alzheimer's education program, and I received a dementia certificate. And then I started my 20-year career in social work. So it really, for me, it was the friends I made in bands, the friends I made in the social work department, that really helped me to figure out who I was. Because when I started college, I was shy and I was a terrible student. And then somehow I eventually ended up with 2 master's degrees and 2 graduate certificates and all this other stuff. It's simply because of the relationships and the education, honestly, that I got at Eastern. That hands-on, experiential learning helped me to become a really great social worker.
That's outstanding. And let me come back over to you and talk briefly about some of the individuals who in fact have been acknowledged over the years. Maybe just give us 3 or 4 people who have received the Alumni Awards as a staple or as an example of the types of folks that have come through EMU's hallways.
Wow, okay. Well, the list is really long, so it's hard for me to choose just a few, but let me give you a handful. Zach Weigel was one of our Young Alumni Award recipients, and he's the founder of Gamers Outreach in class of 2017. Another one, Charlie Batch, NFL player, Earl Boykins, NBA. We've also had folks like Gregory Peoples, who's the Emeritus Dean and students and University Ombuds. We've also had Amelie Nash, who was the Senior Vice President, Local News and Audience Development for USA Today Network. And I'll give you one more, Sally Young, who was a television producer for Modern Family on ABC. So, you know, we have, I mean, the award winners pretty much run a gamut, you know. They could be C-suite executives or folks that are really involved on a community level and in the trenches with grassroots efforts. So we have some pretty dynamic alumni that represent the university.
And I'm pleased to say Zach is a former student of mine as well. College of Business. So another little known fact. We have a couple minutes, about 2.5 minutes remaining or so. And I do want to segue into this year's program and talk about the pandemic, its impact. Are you going to be back face to face this year for the awards program, or is it still going to be virtual?
Unfortunately, we are not face-to-face. In the past, we've celebrated with an in-person event for our Alumni Awards, and which was a ticketed event, and it was open to alumni and their families, university community, the community at large. It was an opportunity, as you said, for us to be face-to-face and to meet their families and make them really feel special, right? But we really had to kind of adapt to these new times, being in a pandemic and in the new environment. We had to, like many before us, go to sort of this virtual platform through the production of a video and premiering it as a virtual event, right? So social media has really been responsible for helping us get into the homes of the community, right? And it's been an awesome tool to leverage so that anyone anywhere can understand what EMU is about and the types of students that attend here and the types of alums that we produce. So that's how we've adapted in that way to the pandemic. But hopefully we will be back face to face and be able to have everyone gather again in celebration.
When will this year's announcement, when will the awardees be announced, and when is the virtual program this year?
Our official announcement will happen in mid-March, and that will be of the 2022 Alumni Awardees, and we will premiere an hour-long celebratory video highlighting each of the awardees on Saturday, May 7th at 6 p.m. and it will be hosted by our alumnus, Josh Landon from Fox 2. Last year's video of the 2021 awardees was well received, right? And we certainly want to provide this format again this year. And our hope is that everyone will tune in on the university's YouTube channel and join us this year.
Josh is another good friend of mine, and I had the opportunity of interviewing him on EMU Today TV as well as a featured EMU alumni. And Trudy, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds to talk to those about the virtues of going to Eastern Michigan University in about 30 seconds.
Well, I think I've heard it most from current students and a student that I mentored, Alyssa Pant, who's graduating with her master's after getting her bachelor's. And it's just simply a place where you can learn who you are, or you can be yourself and get a great education, and it can help bridge your success, you know, in terms of upward mobility, no matter where you come from. It's a school of opportunity.
Outstanding. Is there, very quickly, Mia, a website that people could visit as well?
Sure. You can head over to emich.edu/alumni, and or you can go to the Eastern Michigan University YouTube page.
Yeah, we have that website at the bottom of the screen, so make sure you check it out and write it down and go ahead and get a chance to visit. Mia Milton and Trudy Agler, I want to thank you both. Congratulations. So thank you for joining me today on EMU Today TV. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you.
My pleasure. And we appreciate you all for tuning in, and we will check you out next time on EMU Today TV. Again, my name is Mark S. Lee.